And item number 12, discussion and possible action on ordinance number 1165, 2010, building contractors license and fees. Joe?
Yeah, I brought this ordinance last meeting for its first reading, and we're here this second reading to try to get it approved.
Council, any questions? There are a number of individuals here, I suspect, want to speak to this issue tonight. Any takers? Any interested people? Tom, they're all looking your direction. Maybe you're designated spokesperson of the group.
Can we define?
If you would please.
I'm not on the agenda. Do I have to go?
Yeah, you are now.
Can we have a definition of license?
Joe, can you help us out with that?
Basically, it's a registration with the city of Tahlequah.
As is the practice for the other trades that are licensed by the city?
Yes, currently we license or register electrical contractors, plumbing contractors, mechanical contractors, and sign contractors.
What did it take for them to get a license?
What is it?
Electrical, plumbing, and mechanical, they're required to have a state-issued license by the Construction Industries Board. Sign contractors' license are required to have liability insurance in the amount of $500,000. They all have an initial license fee of $300 and a renewal fee of $50.
Councilwoman, Joe has provided a quick little spreadsheet that summarizes that information that's just provided, and also, I guess, the substance of Senate Bill 306, which is kind of what kicked off this discussion and the interest in the ordinance that requires the certificate of insurance, and it specified residential building permits, and as Joe pointed out at the last meeting, this was to be expanded to, under the proposed ordinance for the city of Tahlequah, to be expanded to those construction activities by general contractors, that it would also occur in the commercial arena as well, I guess.
Right. It also expand to anything that the city required a building permit for.
So the substance of the proposal is that if you're gonna undertake construction in the city that would require a permit, then you have to have a couple of things. One is would be that, as proposed, the proof of certificate of insurance, and that's Senate bill.
Yes.
And the amount that's specified in the proposal is a minimum that, where does that standard come from, Joe? It's $50,000.
Senate Bill 306 said they have to have the same amount as required for the other trades by the Construction Industries Board. The other trades are required by the Construction Industries Board to carry a $50,000 minimum liability. They are also required to put up a $5,000 bond. However, the contractors under this bill would not be required to put up a bond.
So those bonding requirements would come out under, for the other trades, would come out under other, okay, whatever the enacting or enabling legislation was that set those up in the first place. The ordinance would go on then to say that there are some exemptions that are recognized here. If you're basically an individual, that if you're doing something that doesn't require a permit, right, whether you're an individual or you hire someone to do that, then you're exempted from this requirement.
Yes.
The license requirement. Okay. The fee provisions, as Joe's covered those, and then there's basically a due process, I guess, clause in the ordinance itself for revocation of a license under certain circumstances, serious or repeated violations of laws and ordinances and regulations.
Right, and those are exactly the same as the other trades.
Okay, that's where that comes from.
Yes.
Joe, it says on this, under C, if the entity should require a contractor to register in order to monitor insurance verifications.
Yes,
That's if the city should require this.
yes.
Well, I really don't know a whole lot about contracting and all that, but, and I don't mean to sound facetious, but the contractor is usually not a skilled person, right? I mean. Well, I didn't mean it like that. I mean, they don't come under an electrical contractor or a plumber or a mechanical or.
Well, I'll put it this way. As far as I see it, and these guys can disagree if they want, they're the general contractor, they're ultimately responsible for that project. They hire the subcontractors. They oversee the project. They make sure the foundation is proper, the framing is proper.
But
You can
they
wire it.
themselves don't do this.
He does. He does. He does. He does. He does. And he does. They all frame their own houses.
Do we have something?
A little, yes.
Not always.
Not always.
Yes, they have. And they do some of their own framing.
So even if they don't, they still have to do this, is what you're saying?
Under
They still
this,
have to-
under this state law, they are general contractors. They still have to have insurance.
If, you forget the word if we say they do.
No, they have to have insurance. We don't have to register them.
But they just have to have verification of insurance.
Well, that says they have
Well,
insurance.
I mean, but don't all of them have insurance?
I don't know, you have to ask them.
Well, in this, you know, and you've got to recall that irregardless of whether the city passes an ordinance, the state has passed a law. And that law says, irregardless of what happens in the city of Tahlequah, general contractors doing residential work will have insurance at this limit.
Exactly.
Or an exemption.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
That's given. What's beyond that are basically a couple of elements that we tried to summarize here. One is the city is proposing a licensing that's beside the insurance itself. It would say, like the other trades that operate within the boundaries of the city of Tahlequah, we would require a general contractor to be licensed if a permit is required for the job that they're working on. I mean, I guess it's conceivable, not likely, but conceivable somebody might get a contractor to come in and help with something small that might not require a permit. You guys, but not likely.
Got it.
Yeah. So that's the real issue that takes us beyond what just the state requires. The other is the extension of the requirement into the commercial arena as well. And Joe, you might be able to do more justice than I can on this, but yeah, go ahead.
I've done some research today. When this bill was originated, it included commercial. Some of the larger commercial companies that have lots of insurance and they put up a lot of bonds on their projects, lobbied to have it removed, claiming that all commercial projects are bonded for performance bonds, and I know doing this that they're not. You know, your typical little small office building has not got a performance bond on it usually, you know. That's why we elected, it's not fair to make this guy and all these guys carry insurance for building homes. And this guy over here building a small office building doesn't have to. That's why we expanded it to commercial and just said basically if you're building in the city, you have to have this insurance and you have to have a license.
I would also think that just as a matter of practice for any insurer, you all may stand to be corrected, but I would think that an insurer is basically going to cover a general set of activities, and if you're going to do it in the residential arena, any construction work there, it would also generally apply to the commercial arena as well.
That would probably be up to however their policies are wrote up and what they do. The liability insurance to cover people getting injured on their job is what it's for. You know, I know you had an ordeal at your house at one time where a contractor fell off a ladder, he